Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Learning Conversations. I'm Aurora, and today I have someone who can help us talk about a very important topic. James, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi, Aurora, and hello, everyone. I'm James, and I'm from Ireland. I work as a career counselor, which means I help people find jobs and prepare for interviews. I also teach business English, so I know exactly what vocabulary people need to talk about their work. I'm excited to help everyone learn how to describe their jobs in English today.
That's perfect, James. Talking about your job is one of the most common conversations in English, whether you're meeting new people, at job interviews, or just making small talk. Let's start with the basics. What are some simple ways to say what job you do?
Great question. There are several common ways to talk about your job. You can say, I work as a teacher, or I'm a teacher. You can also say, I work in education, if you want to mention the industry. Another way is, I work for a school, to mention your employer. All of these are correct and natural ways to describe your job.
Those are very useful patterns. I like that there are different options depending on what you want to emphasize. James, what are some common job titles that everyone should know?
There are many job titles, but let me share some of the most common ones. In offices, you have manager, assistant, secretary, and accountant. In education, there are teacher, professor, and principal. In healthcare, you have doctor, nurse, and dentist. In retail, there are salesperson, cashier, and store manager. These are jobs that exist in most countries, so they're very useful to know.
Those are definitely jobs that people encounter everywhere. James, how can people describe what they do at work? What vocabulary is helpful for explaining job responsibilities?
When describing your daily tasks, you can use action verbs like I help customers, I manage a team, I teach students, or I analyze data. You can also talk about your main responsibilities by saying, I'm responsible for, or my job involves. For example, my job involves meeting with clients and preparing reports.
Those phrases are really practical. I can see how they would work for many different jobs. James, let's talk about workplace vocabulary. What words should people know to describe their work environment?
Good question. For location, you might work in an office, factory, hospital, school, restaurant, or from home. You can describe the size by saying, I work for a small company, or I work for a large corporation. You might work full-time, part-time, or freelance. These basic terms help people understand your work situation quickly.
That covers a lot of different work situations. James, what about talking about your schedule? How can people describe their working hours?
There are many ways to describe your schedule. You can say, I work from 9 to 5 for regular office hours. I work shifts means your hours change. I work nights, or I work weekends are also common. You might say, I have flexible hours if you can choose when to work, and I work overtime means you work extra hours beyond your normal schedule.
Those are very useful for describing different types of schedules. James, let's talk about the workplace hierarchy. How can people describe their position in a company?
Understanding workplace hierarchy is important. You might say, I report to the manager, or my boss is the department head. If you manage others, you can say, I supervise a team of 5 people, or I manage the sales department. You might also mention, I work with colleagues, or I collaborate with other departments. These phrases help explain your role in the organization.
That helps clarify relationships at work. James, what about salary and benefits? How can people talk about compensation appropriately?
This can be a sensitive topic, so it's important to know the right language. You can say, I earn a good salary, or the pay is competitive, without giving specific numbers. For benefits, you might mention, We have health insurance, I get paid vacation, or the company offers training opportunities. In many cultures, it's considered private to ask about exact salary amounts.
That's good advice about being tactful. James, let's discuss job satisfaction. How can people express whether they like their job or not?
There are many ways to express job satisfaction. Positive expressions include, I love my job, I enjoy what I do, my work is rewarding, or I find my job fulfilling. If you're less satisfied, you might say, my job is okay, the work can be stressful, or I'm looking for new opportunities. It's important to stay professional when discussing job dissatisfaction.
It's good to have both positive and diplomatic ways to express feelings about work. James, what about career progression? How can people talk about their career goals and advancement?
Career development is an important topic. You can say, I want to advance in my career, or I'm hoping for a promotion. You might mention, I'm developing new skills, or I'm taking courses to improve my qualifications. Future goals can be expressed as, I'd like to become a manager, or my goal is to start my own business. These show ambition and forward thinking.
Those phrases show professional growth mindset. James, let's talk about job searching. What vocabulary is helpful when someone is looking for a new job?
Job searching has its own vocabulary. You can say, I'm job hunting, or I'm looking for work. The process includes applying for positions, sending resumes, going to interviews, and networking with professionals. You might be between jobs or unemployed if you're not currently working. And hopefully, you'll get hired or land a job at the end of the process.
That covers the whole job search process. James, what about different industries? How can people describe what sector they work in?
Industries are important to understand. Common sectors include technology, healthcare, education, finance, manufacturing, retail, hospitality, and government. You can say, I work in the tech industry, or I'm in healthcare. Some people work in the private sector for companies, while others work in the public sector for government organizations. Understanding these distinctions helps in professional conversations.
That gives a good overview of different work sectors. James, let's discuss workplace culture. What vocabulary helps describe the atmosphere at work?
Workplace culture vocabulary is very useful. You might describe your workplace as professional, casual, friendly, competitive, or collaborative. You could say, we have a good team spirit, or the atmosphere is very supportive. Some workplaces are fast-paced, while others are more relaxed. These descriptions help people understand what it's like to work at your company.
Those adjectives paint a clear picture of different work environments. James, what about challenges at work? How can people discuss workplace problems diplomatically?
It's important to discuss challenges professionally. Instead of saying, my boss is terrible, you might say, there are some communication challenges. Rather than, I hate my co-workers, try, the team dynamics could be better. You can mention heavy workload, tight deadlines, or budget constraints as neutral ways to describe difficulties without sounding too negative.
Those are much more professional ways to express concerns. James, let's talk about achievements at work. How can people highlight their successes?
Talking about achievements is important for career development. You can say, I completed a major project, I exceeded my sales targets, I received an award, or I was promoted. Use specific examples like, I managed a team of 10 people, or I increased sales by 20%. Being able to articulate your accomplishments is crucial for interviews and performance reviews.
Those examples show how to be specific about achievements. James, what about learning and development? How can people talk about improving their professional skills?
Professional development is a great topic. You can say, I attended a training course, I learned new software, I obtained a certification, or I improved my communication skills. You might mention, I went to a conference, or I took online classes. Employers appreciate when workers invest in their own growth. So this vocabulary is very positive to use.
Continuous learning is so important in today's workplace. James, let's discuss remote work, which has become much more common. What vocabulary is useful for this?
Remote work vocabulary has become essential. You can say, I work from home, I work remotely, or I'm a remote employee. You might attend virtual meetings, collaborate online, or use video conferencing. Some people are hybrid workers who split time between home and office. You might also mention flexible schedule or work-life balance as benefits of remote work.
Remote work has certainly changed how we talk about jobs. James, what about entrepreneurship? How can people describe starting their own business?
Entrepreneurship has special vocabulary. You can say, I'm starting my own business, I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm self-employed. You might be launching a startup or running a small business. The process involves developing a business plan, seeking investors, and building a customer base. It's an exciting but challenging path that requires specific language to describe.
That's inspiring vocabulary for people with business ambitions. James, let's talk about job interviews. What key phrases should people know for interviews?
Interview language is crucial. Common questions include, tell me about yourself, why do you want this job, and what are your strengths? Good responses might start with, I have experience in, or I'm passionate about. You should also prepare questions like, what are the main responsibilities, or what opportunities are there for growth? Professional interview language can make a huge difference.
Interview preparation is so important. James, what about networking? How can people talk about building professional relationships?
Networking vocabulary is very valuable. You can say, I'm building my professional network, I attend industry events, or I connect with colleagues on LinkedIn. Common phrases include, nice to meet you, what line of work are you in, and here's my business card. Good networking helps with making connections, sharing opportunities, and learning about the industry.
Networking seems like such an important skill. James, let's discuss workplace communication. What phrases are helpful for daily office interactions?
Daily workplace communication has many useful phrases. For meetings, you might say, let's schedule a meeting. I'd like to discuss this further. Or can we set up a call? For email, common phrases include thank you for your email, please find attached, and looking forward to hearing from you. Polite communication is essential in professional settings.
Those are phrases everyone needs for professional communication. James, what about workplace conflicts? How can people address problems professionally?
Addressing conflicts professionally is a valuable skill. You can say, I'd like to discuss a concern. Could we find a solution together? Or, I think there might be a misunderstanding. Use phrases like, from my perspective, or I feel that, to express your viewpoint diplomatically. Always focus on solutions rather than blame when addressing workplace issues.
That's excellent advice for maintaining professionalism. James, let's talk about work-life balance. How can people discuss this important topic?
Work-life balance is increasingly important. You can say, I maintain a good work-life balance. I try to disconnect after work hours, or I prioritize family time. You might mention flexible working arrangements, taking vacation days, or avoiding burnout. Many modern workplaces understand that happy employees are more productive, so this is often a welcome topic.
Balance is so important for long-term career success. James, what about describing your ideal job? How can people articulate what they're looking for?
Describing your ideal job helps in interviews and networking. You might say, I'm looking for a role where I can use my creativity. I want a position with growth opportunities, or I prefer a collaborative work environment. You could mention competitive salary, good benefits, interesting challenges, or supportive management. Being clear about your preferences helps you find the right fit.
Those preferences help people find jobs that truly suit them. James, before we finish, what's your most important advice for talking about jobs in English?
My most important advice is to practice describing your own job clearly and confidently. Prepare a short, simple explanation of what you do that anyone can understand. Use specific examples and positive language. Don't be afraid to highlight your achievements, but stay humble. Remember that talking about work is often small talk, so keep it conversational and friendly, not like a formal presentation.
That's wonderful advice.